Welcome back. President Trump is set to meet with oil and gas executives this week. With his steel and aluminum tariffs now in effect, reciprocal tariffs are coming on April 2nd. The oil and gas industries rely heavily on those imports. And joining me now with a look ahead is the chairman and CEO of Red Apple Group, United Refining Company, and Gristedes and D'Agostino Supermarkets, John Catsimatidis. John, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What do you want to see discussed at that meeting between President Trump and the oil and gas executives? Will you be there, John?
No, I was not invited. Let's see what happens, because I do a lot of business in Canada. And in effect, in Canada, in April 2nd, no tariffs until April 2nd on oil. And the fact is, nobody's wrote a check yet. I think President Trump is waiting to sit down with the Canadians, and he sat down with Doug Ford many times already. I think both people want to make a deal. So I predict there will be a deal with Canada at some point, and hopefully it's before anybody has to write a check for tariffs.
Okay, so you don't even think these tariffs are going to go through with Canada and Mexico, because you think there will be a deal with both, or just Canada?
I think I don't know much about Mexico, but I think President Trump is wants to make a deal before they have to push the button.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because, of course, these are our friends to the north and south, and you've got the USMCA deal already in place, which he was very proud of when he first did it. But, of course, he had the opportunity to redo it, and that's what he's doing. I spoke with the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, last week about the president's Northeast natural gas pipeline and how it could reduce costs for New Yorkers. I want to get your take on this. Watch.
I think it's highly likely that this pipeline, there's a couple of them actually get done. It's just such a win-win-win. You know, this will lower costs for people in the New York area, for New England, not just heating costs, which is a big deal. Old houses are heated by fuel oil. Natural gas is just so much cheaper, and it burns cleaner. But it also lower electricity prices, which, of course, everyone would cheer for that as well, and allow businesses in New England or in New York City area to expand and grow their businesses and grow more jobs. So it's like no one loses by this. But silly politics of several years ago stopped these in the first go-round. But I think it's quite likely these pipelines will be under construction before this year's over.
Katz, do you agree with that? I mean, this interview was on Friday, and it followed the president's national energy emergency declaration at the start of his term. Fundstrat Global Advisors Managing Director Mark Newton was here last week. He said oil prices are going down. He's expecting $50 oil. Watch this.
Crude oil is likely going to go down to $50 in my view, and so the efforts of the administration to obviously continue to pump and reset U.S. energy infrastructure, I think, is a big positive, along with the fact that China's recovery remains pretty fragile, and it's very difficult to, they're going to be exporting, I think, deflation to the rest of the world. So the combination of those, any sort of tariffs, we're forgetting that that's going to have a huge demand impact on China. Crude oil is likely going to have a big slide, so that's going to very much positively inflect inflation to the downside and help.
Well, John, oil prices are up this morning, and I think it has more to do with what's going on in the Red Sea and the Houthis harassing our ships. Your reaction to all of that?
Over the next 3 to 6 months, oil prices will go down. I think the price is going to be anywhere from 55 to 65, which is a great price for oil involved. The other problem with Canada is right now the Liberal government is still in charge, and there's going to be next 2 weeks, there's going to be elections, I believe. And the Conservative Party wants to make a deal with President Trump and do what's fair for both sides. Pipelines, gas pipelines, absolutely. Oil pipelines, I predict that we're going to be doing some oil pipelines too, because it's an opportunity. If you have a conservative government in Canada and you have President Trump in charge with Lee Zeldin, EPA. I was there when President Trump said to Lee Zeldin, make sure we do what we have to do to have great energy prices and great energy for North America.
Yeah, I mean, look, President Trump's goal is to put more oil on the market, more natural gas on the market, so that prices go lower. Now, we've still got elevated prices, John. I want to get your take on the CPI from February. It showed grocery prices flat month to month. Overall food inflation, 2.6%. year over year. What are you seeing in your supermarkets right now?
Egg prices have come down substantially, and food prices will start to come down over the next 3 months. We have already started lowering prices in Catsimatidis and D'Agostino stores that we own in New York City.
So you're lowering prices already?
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, you think that sticks?
I think that sticks. I think oil prices go down, diesel prices go down, then the factories and the transportation, the supermarkets, the diesel prices going down, their costs are coming down.
All right. You're also very active in the political backdrop in New York. New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams raised only $128,000 in the first week of her mayoral campaign. She fell short of qualifying for matching public funds. She joins incumbent Eric Adams and, of course, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. They're running closely, but, John, it looks like a lot of people feel that Cuomo will win this. What do you think is going to happen here in the mayoral race in New York City? Right
now, what I think should happen, Eric Adams is cooperating with Tom Homan, cooperating with President Trump to get the criminals off the street of New York. And Eric Adams is going to be mayor until January 1st. Let's clean up New York completely. He cooperates with Tom Homan, cooperates with President Trump. The primaries are not till, I believe, June 24th. And let's see what happens.
So June 24th this year, it's going to be a real horse race. I mean, at this point, it looks like Eric Adams versus Andrew Cuomo.
I think it's 50-50, either or.
Interesting. John, in terms of your oil business and your food business, where are the pressures that you see as a business owner? Because this is also an issue for the mayoral race, but it's an issue for the whole country because of the inflation that we've all just come off of.
Well, if we don't clean up New York from criminal activity and shoplifters, et cetera, we are not making any money in New York, and half the drugstores have closed up. And I think New York has to be fixed this year. If it's not fixed, we're in deep doo-doo.
Yep. All right, John, we'll be watching your work, certainly. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Cats, as we affectionately call him, John Catsimatidis.